Cam in the house, brother.
Yeah, it was good.
Excited for you. You just coming hot off of a TEDx talk. I just want everybody to get to know you a little bit. Can you introduce yourself and how you end up winning freaking Shaquille O'Neal, JCPenney contracts and on TED Talks and all this jazz, man?
I'm Cameron Boylan. I go by Big Cam for several reasons because I'm a big guy, of course. I have a big heart, big personality. I initially got into the big and tall fashion industry when Shaquille O'Neal had partnered with JCPenney and Wilhelmina. It was back in 2019 during the summer. It was around this time, actually, 5-6 years ago. And I went to the casting. I already had headshots and things, and so went there. I didn't win the contest, but I was noticed by the casting director. He selected 10 guys out of the crowd. It was like over 1,000 people. So I was one of those 10 guys. He partnered us with Kim Dawson, which is one of the biggest agencies here in Dallas, in the South, really. And so that started my career.
So you're a successful, top of your class. Your family's seeing you. You know, you're making it. You're corporate America. They're like, dude, we did good.
Right.
And then you're just like, screw this, man. I'm gonna be a model. I'm gonna be. And people are like, look at the mirror, bro. Come on, man.
They were.
And you're like, yeah, I'm doing this. Come on, I'm gonna do it. They're like looking at you like, have you lost your mind? I mean, what happened? How was that? How was that with the family? I mean, being able to.
Honestly, they just felt like I was sabotaging my whole career, but I was just like, I was not happy. It was stressing me out. It was affecting my health. And I was just like, yeah, I'm not about to live the rest of my life like this. Like, I'm somebody that's like, I enjoy my freedom. I have to do something that I love, like, or it's going to show.
Do you feel like, even looking back at your childhood, did you love clothes and fashion? Like, what was your appeal to draw to this? I mean, to get into this?
Yeah, so my mom actually instilled that into my brother and myself because growing up, we were always big guys. We were the fat kids, and so everybody was always teasing us or whatnot. And so I remember her telling us, like, hey, you're never going to be skinny, but you can look presentable. Make sure you look nice. So every time my mom was into fashion, she was just big into image. So every time we stepped out of the house, she wanted to make sure that we were dressed well and that we looked presentable to the world. And so that kind of just stuck with me growing up. So I got more into fashion. I originally was into acting more.
Okay.
But
like theater stuff?
Yeah, theater, high school plays. And then I signed to an agency. It was called the Excel Talent and Model Agency in Little Rock. It was a big thing. And so they always told us, like, hey, you're going to have to learn both. You're going to have to do modeling and acting. So it kind of just went hand in hand. So when that opportunity presented itself with the Shaquille O'Neal thing, I was already prepared or already had that confidence.
This makes more sense to me now. So you had this background as a kid. You were already doing some acting. You've done some commercial auditions a little bit.
I was also in orchestra. So I was like first chair in the Arkansas Symphonic Youth Orchestra, playing the double bass. I played the cello. I did that for about 10 years. I was an artist. I sketched. I was pretty much like a jack of all trades.
You're a Renaissance, Leonardo.
Yeah, so I was a creative. I had this very creative background, and I feel like all of that kind of played into who I've evolved into.
Very cool. So you won the thing with Shaquille O'Neal. You got these contracts, or you didn't win, but you said you were finalist. You definitely got.
I was scouted.
You were scouted out of all of that. Well, I think that's sometimes even better. Like, even for sometimes people with America's Got Talent, if you win, you're stuck in these contracts and you're really limited where you can go.
Right.
But if you get that exposure and you have the talent, you can still go off and do great things.
Right.
So that seems like that's the route you took.
That's definitely the route I took.
Yeah, and then you're rounding up NFL players, that don't typically fit in suits. I don't even know how you guys do that. So, like, I'm a 40 regular. So I used to model also. I got the Navy. I modeled briefly in New York and Milan. So it's something I've been around a long time. It's how I picked up photography and all this. That's kind of how all this background was. But so it's interesting to me to see that people, you can just be yourself, be more comfortable, have that confidence. Do you feel like this is something you just always kind of had, that confidence and swag? Like, I have a 4- and 5-year-old. I want to be able to instill that in my children. Like, where do you feel like confidence comes from, and kind of how you've brought fashion into all this, full swing? And
I think confidence, I can say for me, really came from just life experiences and just like digging deep within myself, asking the hard questions, why, or why do you feel like this? Why do you want to do this? And honestly, just engaging with people from all different walks of life. The more I engaged and got to know different people, I just kind of realized, like, the more you have in common. How you feel about yourself is conveyed on camera, is conveyed on how other people see you as well. So I'm not so different from everybody else. And so it just made me feel more human. And so I feel like I can just relate to anybody pretty much. regardless like of their size. So you have people this fit that have body dysmorphia and they think they're still thinking they're fat.
Yeah.
So I have friends that they are cut up, they're bodybuilders, and then they still lack confidence.
Like, it's wild 'cause I have friends of mine, and then that perception of, I think we do. I mean, we need to be able to see ourselves from sort of a realistic perspective, but still not be so critical. The world's already so critical, and social media is so critical. Everyone is quick to judge, especially behind a screen. Social media bullying and all this kind of stuff is insane.
I remember early on, like 4 years old, I was getting picked on at a summer camp. And I was just like, they're teasing me. They're saying I have titties and all this other stuff. Like I was scared to go to the swimming pool without a shirt on. And now, like, I don't give a fuck. Like I'm just like, I just learned just from this whole journey that usually like the things that you're insecure about are usually like your it factor. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you unique. So you have to like really own it.
Just own it, embrace it.
So I just feel like with me, my weight never limited me from anything. And I feel like I've always been stylish. I've always, I don't know, pretty much like owned who I was for the most part. Like, of course, everybody has insecurities. I still have insecurities, of course, but I don't let it control me. I don't let it take over my mind.
And don't let it stop you from going after opportunity.
Right. And so like what I'm doing now, just as an influencer and as a model, is like letting people know like, hey, own who you are right now as you work towards becoming the best version of yourself. Just, be patient with yourself. You have to give yourself some grace. And a lot of times we're our own worst critic.
Like right now, this TED Talk you did, you're producing fashion shows with NFL players. I mean, you've got your hands in multiple, kind of endeavors. You're an entrepreneur, you've got multiple things on. Where do you see like right now you're being able to make the biggest impact on the world?
I think my biggest impact now is me teaching. If I can do it, you can do it. So I basically turned myself into a personal brand, and now I'm trying to show others how to transition and turn themselves into a personal brand and diversify their portfolio. So even with these NFL players, they have huge platforms and they get labeled as just being an athlete, but a lot of them have other aspirations, other dreams, and other things that they want to do. So I'm trying to show them like, hey, this is how you can monetize your platform and your audience, and you can also get into fashion. You see all the time game day, they're dressing up. They clearly want to be into fashion. The NBA does it, but not so much the NFL. I can relate more to the NFL because I used to play sports myself. I got injured, and then usually like after football, you go through this kind of like identity crisis, but it happened to me early on. Okay. So it was like high school, tore my ACL, MCL, I broke my leg. So I was just injury prone. But luckily I was smart as well, so I had a full ride academic scholarship. But I had some of my friends when after college, they thought they were going to go pro, crashed out. They didn't go pro, and so they were just like really depressed. And then even in the league, you get hurt or whatever, or their career's over with, then they don't know what to do. I think modeling was my foot in the door, but I had all these other skill sets. And so it's like, I'm not just a model now. I'm an influencer. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a big and tall, body positive activist.
Okay.
So much. And then like people are asking me now, do you do PR? Because I had to learn how to do that. We had the Vogue article and Bossa magazine. So I've done a little bit of everything, but you can't just pigeonhole me into just one particular thing. And that's what I feel like I want to help other people realize about themselves, because none of us are one-dimensional. We all have different sides to us, and I want people to be comfortable in tapping in and accessing those different sides and those different skill sets to themselves.
That's awesome.
Right.
So let's give something actionable. Like, so someone earlier, we were talking about this off camera, but you were saying over 70% of people now.
Right. I think it was like 74%, but it was in the Washington Post. It was saying over 74% of all Americans are considered plus size.
So with that, what are a couple of big tips that people can take away right now on, if they're a little bit bigger? I know there's different shapes of bodies and things, so it's kind of hard to give a universal tip, but are there a few things that you could give people that are just instantly are going to increase their fashion sense or help them be more attractive in clothing? Because I think that's part of what you talk about in the TED Talk, is that once you start feeling better in your clothes, that also helps your confidence and it helps you.
I think it helps just trying different things on, because sometimes, like for me, I'll see something and think that's cool and I'll try it on, or and it may not look the exact same way. Like, I don't know if you understand, like everything isn't for everybody. So I think it's just like taking the time, trying things on, matching things. Like some things look better on other people and some things don't. And then also getting your size measurements. So even like when you're shopping online, because that was a big thing after COVID, a lot of people aren't going into the stores, feeling the fabric, trying it on. So knowing your sizes kind of can help you as well in your measurements when you are picking out things that are more tailored and more fitted to your body, not oversized or not like just real clingy, and then just knowing different materials. So doing research and just trying different things out, stepping outside of your comfort zone. So I think that's what helped me a lot, is that I try things that other people were scared to do, like my teammates or other men. I'm like, I'm a push the boundary. So
when you're plus size, that means you need to wear oversized clothes. You just need clothes that fit properly.
yeah, that fit properly.
Not too tight, not too loose.
Right,
It's something that's fit properly. Even if you are athletically fit or skinny, just having the properly fit clothing for your frame.
Fitted clothes give you just a more elevated look. It just looks more quality.
Whether you're skinny,
Right.
normal, bigger, any of that.
I have suits that I get from Fashion Nova, and I take it to the cleaners and get it tailored. And people think it's a designer suit. Like, it just takes it to the next level. And I just feel like as plus size people or plus size men, a lot of times we're trying to hide our body shape or maybe insecure about our gut or something like that. And there's ways to fix that or to kind of like hide it, but you have to understand like how the clothes fit and what type of clothes look better.
Are you more influential in men's, or it's also women in general? Everybody kind of anybody
it's
for body
really
positivity? It's
everybody, but my focus is plus size men, because I feel like a lot of times we've just been left out of the conversation. And what really got me motivated on being like an activist for this is that I noticed like they use us a lot in the commercial realm, but they're not using us in the high fashion luxury side of things. Okay. So Gucci, Versace, like those type of brands, you don't see it New York Fashion Week. You see plus size not plus size men, excuse me, plus size women being utilized. Even that's kind of like going downhill, but you never see plus size men. So I'm like, what is the issue? Like, is it? But there's buzz around it, like the industry is aware of it, so now it's coming off like discrimination to me. The designers obviously have the power, and the people who are casting for shows, so I'm like, are there any plus size men that are designers? So I saw that there were, and then most of them want to design for women. So I'm like, do you not make clothes for yourself? Like, I don't understand this. So I don't know if it's a self-hate thing. I just don't understand. Like, there's a lot of plus-size men, and I don't want it to be just like a check mark, like, oh, something different this season. Because Tommy Hilfiger did have 2 plus-size guys on the runway September 2022, but it's been cricket since then. And then they have the Vogue Business has a size inclusivity check that comes out every season. There's no plus-size men. They have them in London and other countries, but in the U.S., it's just like, so I'm like, what's the problem? And then you clearly have people like me. I have colleagues that have huge portfolios. So why aren't y'all using plus size men? There's still work that needs to be done. So that's why I started utilizing the NFL players, because they can't argue. Because sometimes they like to argue like, I know men don't have as much buying power as women, but
well, it's because they're spending all their money on their
Right.
kids and their wife or divorce. Oh man, but yeah, they have the buying power, but it's just being spread out
Right.
among other
other
resources.
things, right? And so I just feel like you can't argue that with athletes who actually want to wear designer luxury brands and have the income to spend, but we're not being advertised or marketed to, and so they're missing a huge mark with that. And then I saw in the business of fashion that these brands are missing a mark on not utilizing athletes, and not just plus size athletes, but athletes in general. So I'm like, that's influencer marketing. That's a major tool to like, increase sales and get more brand awareness. And they're not even tapping into. When I was younger, I remember seeing athletes get brand endorsements, and they're not really getting endorsements anymore from. So I don't know what's going on. So I'm just like, we want to see real representation on the runway, especially if we represent the majority or whatever. Like, why aren't we seeing that in the fashion industry? Even people that I know that may be connected to other celebrities that are plus size, like DJ Khaled or Rick Ross, like they have trouble at these award shows finding things for the red carpet.
You have to be up at a red carpet event.
Right.
I mean, you got to be decked out.
So it's a challenge. So definitely, you should lose weight, be healthy, be the healthiest version of yourself. But in the meantime, like, I still should be able to look good. I have probably 5 to 7 agencies worldwide. So I'm managing my own career, and I'm also trying to help other people as well. And so it was really a challenge for me because some people I was trying to help from the ground up, and I'm like, I can't do that. I did that for myself. So you're going to have to come to me with something that I can kind of spin off of or whatever. At least the athletes, they have the following, they have the audience, they have something. And so, because I feel like for me, I've done some big shit. Like Kim Kardashian, Skims, Rihanna, Nike, Fashion Nova. I have an extensive resume when it comes to the fashion world. But I feel like I should definitely be much bigger than what I am now. Like right now, if you go to Cinemark, you'll see me in the movie theaters. I've been in movie theaters for like at least 2 years.
And just like in a photo campaign or it's commercial?
Sometimes it'll be on the big screen. It's like an advertisement for Cinemark, and a lot of times it may be on like a poster or whatever. So I've seen it everywhere. It's on the app, like when you're going to buy tickets. So people still send that to me. But I'm like, I should be way bigger than what I am. And so I feel like the opportunity is press and publications. And so that's where I'm trying to get more exposure. And then the projects and the campaigns that I'm doing, I'm connecting that, like what I said, Vogue magazine, Vogue business, trying to get into GQ, trying to get into just...
So you're just helping produce this and bring it to the market.
Right, bring it to the market.
If other people aren't going to do it, you're like, well, let's just go and
right,
put this
because
together.
there's buzz around the concept, but there's no real call to action. So I'm creating that call to action. I'm creating... You've never seen a fashion show with NFL players or whatever on the runway. And so I was like, everything's bigger in Texas. I partnered with Don Morphy. He's a luxury formal wear designer here.
Yeah, Daniel's awesome. Sonia, they're super cool.
Yep, they're cool. So just as an entrepreneur, like I was telling my cousin earlier, that you have to find the need. Like with business, like what's the need? How can I fill that need, or how can I barter my services or whatever? So I felt like there was a need for Daniel. It was big. It was his second show. I'm like, you want to let the world know that you have extended sizing as well or whatever, and then the NFL athletes, I feel like that just adds more credibility to it. He's already worked with some athletes, so I just felt like it all aligned perfectly.
Very cool.
As well. And then the stylist, Tamika Smith, we've already worked together before, so I was just like, it just made sense to do it here. And then because in New York, when I started off doing a flash mob with the bigger picture during New York Fashion Week, and that was cool, but it was very expensive, and I was using a lot of my own personal funds, going into debt, trying to help a lot of people. They don't know what was going on behind the scenes. So I know sometimes it looks easy, but it is really not at all. But I'm passionate about it, and so a lot of people ask like, "Are you doing this full time?" And I'm like, "Yeah," because a lot of people, other guys that I know that are currently big and tall models, they come to me for advice as well, because they're not really able to do it full time, especially like if you have families and stuff. It's just me. So sometimes I can take those hits because it's highs and lows. You've been a model, you'll be booked and busy for a couple of months back to back, and then it can get like really slow. So if you haven't budgeted your money during them times when it's slow, you're feeling it. But like I said, it's definitely rewarding at the end of the day.
Well, one thing I'm curious about, are you following much on live shopping?
Live shopping.
There's TikTok shops now, live shopping. Are you involved in any of that stuff right now?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm slowly getting into it, especially on a TikTok. I actually just kind of went viral from doing it was like a sweatsuit, and I tried it on, and I did, and so I'm getting commission from off of that.
Okay.
So a lot of people are asking me about like, how does it fit? Is it true to size?
That's an interesting thing. Yeah, so I'm thinking, so in a bit, we're going to be going in the back, and we're going to be doing a photo shoot. But that's something I'm going to start bringing in. This is a different perspective. This is cool. Like even true to size, because people, if they're shopping online, you don't have the experience of shopping.
Right.
So how do you do that? Yeah, you can order crap and return it, but if you could just have someone that can say, hey man, this is the size, it fits, I like the material, you get their opinion. I think it'll be interesting to see how influencers or things, instead of me just showing you my morning coffee wearing something, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you're
really,
getting a testimonial in real time, and then you can ask questions and you can interact before you actually make that purchase decision. So
yeah, I
think
feel
live,
like that's the direction things are going to be going
that's the
toward.
future
So
for sure.
yeah, I'm going to be pushing on the forefront of that here at the
Yeah.
studio.
Yeah, because TikTok, because now I'm an influencer for them. They'll send you products, and then you could just kind of go live and test it out, speak to it, and then the more people that buy it or whatever, the more you make and sell. So you get that
Well,
commission.
for you, how has it been? I mean, hitting the big campaigns, different people might see you in the theater or this and that, but social media now, if you're going viral and you're getting these big followings, have you noticed being out in the street, people know you and they start talking to you randomly?
Yeah, that's funny because
How is that experience? I mean, for people that haven't made it big yet, or
I've always been him. So I'm used to the popularity. In school I was football. I was my fraternity, the president. Like I've just always been used to attention. But it does catch me off guard, especially like when I'm traveling. Like so in the airport, people like would notice me, or if I'm in another state, people would notice me. Like hey, I think I get probably more notoriety outside of Texas than I do within Texas. And sometimes people will say, I feel like I've seen you before, and I'm like, you probably have, like, but
and they tell you look like Matthew McConaughey. Is that what you get?
no. Sometimes I'll pull something up, and then they're like, oh. One time I was at a party, and this one girl was like, she stopped, she was like, I know you, and I was just like, oh my god. She's like, yeah, I know you because so I did the Rihanna Savage Fenty shoot and had my whole ass out. So that went viral on Facebook a couple years ago. So sometimes people notice me from that, or sometimes it's funny because people will notice me from that and try not to bring it up. Because one time I was in an Uber driver in LA, he was like, "Yeah, I feel like I've seen you before," and so I'm just trying to figure out where did they see me at, like which campaign. And then he was like, "Yeah, I think Savage," and I was like, "Oh yeah, so you saw my ass? Let's get straight to it, or whatever." So yeah, people notice me a lot. So I mean, I feel like I'm making an impact. And I remember my business partner, his name is Michael Dixon. And he was a mentor to me as well. He's the one who's really just helped me just get immersed into the whole industry and just like really took me to the next level as far as branding myself. But he was like, Cam, like, even if people don't know your name or exactly who you are, people seeing you. Like, a lot of people know you. You're everywhere. And then they had to hit me. I'm like, yeah, I am kind of everywhere. And like people now, because when you do the shoot, you don't know when they're going to utilize the advertising or your photos or whatnot. So it'll be like months down the line, and people will screenshot me, hey, I see you in this article, I see you in this magazine, I see you in this commercial on TV or whatever. So, I mean, it makes me feel good, like I'm on the right path, I'm doing the right thing. It's good to see like your hard work pay off, of course.
Very cool. So you said you're doing some coaching. What do you have, a community, school group or something, or how do people get a hold of you if they want to get some coaching?
Yeah,
at
either
all, or
directly
for your ebook. Give them a little shout out. How do people get your ebook?
Yeah, so if y'all want to get in contact with me, if y'all are serious about your modeling career, because a lot of people think it's a hobby or it's a get rich quick scheme, and it's not. But if you're serious about becoming a model, you go to the Bigger Picture. I don't know if it's thebiggerpicture.live. It's www.thebiggerpicture.live is the website, and then Instagram is the Bigger Picture Live.
Okay.
So yeah, you can go on there. I have my ebook. I have links to book a consultation, and then from the consultation, if you're interested in me doing my ongoing model coaching, I'm available for that as well. So I basically give people the fast track information on how to get started. A lot of people don't understand that you have to take digitals first. So for me, I remember I was spending buku money like for photo shoots, and then working with photographers that didn't understand how to shoot for agencies, for professional clients. So I'm wasting a lot of money there. And I realized all I had to do pretty much just take digitals, which I could do on your phone pretty much, and then submit them to the agents. But I feel like I made all that money back. It was an investment in myself. So I don't regret it. But a lot of things that I did, and it was trial and error for me, I can help people save money and save time
and get there quicker. I mean, it's the thing with
Right. You
education
get there-
and coaching.
get
Hey,
there
you've already
quicker.
done that.
I've already done it.
Show me the way. Boom. You know.
So yeah, you can, not saying that you can't, you can make, there's more than one way to, skin a cat. Is that the terminology? Is that the same?
It sounds good to me.
It's curiosity killed the cat. It's more than one way to skin a fish or something. I don't know, whatever. There's more than one way to get it done. But if you go through me, I'll save you time and save you money. So yeah.
Very cool. All right, Kev. Thanks for coming out, and I'm glad we reached out and connected recently.
Yeah.
This has been fun. So we're gonna do a photo shoot. We're going in the back. We got some outfits picked out. We got some little inspo boards, so it'd be cool to work with you here. And I'll put some of the photos here on the end of this too.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome, Kev. Thanks, man.
All right, thanks.